Good morning, everyone. Hello, good afternoon, good evening if you're the other side of the world. It's really lovely to have you here again today. My name is Mel, and today we're going to be doing a tangerine meditation. We're looking at how we can nourish joy with our eating. So while I organise the sharing to the groups, if you haven't already found yourself a tangerine or something similar, then please take this time to go and find an item from the kitchen. It doesn't have to be fruit, but something small and individual would be perfect. So I'll just give you a moment to do that. And then hopefully I have connected now with the group. So hello and welcome to day 2 of the Joy with Mindfulness 5-day challenge. My name is Mel. I'm a registered mindfulness teacher with BAMBA, the British Association of Mindfulness-Based Approaches. And I work primarily as a mindfulness recovery coach, helping people recover holistically from life, trauma, and addiction. So today is the first of 2 sessions offered during this challenge around bringing mindfulness into everyday activities. We'll be reflecting on how eating mindfully can nourish us with joy. So hopefully those that joined at the beginning had an opportunity to find themselves a piece of fruit or a biscuit, or a piece of chocolate works quite well as well, although it's quite warm today, so it might melt if you're in the UK. But just taking a second to find that item if you haven't already. And while people are doing that, I'd just like to ask for a short reflection on how we typically eat our lunch. So I've deliberately chosen this time of day because people will be thinking about eating food. So let's just take a moment. What does a typical lunchtime look like for you? Are you rushing to eat a sandwich in between a busy work day or in between an activity? Are you eating in front of the telly usually, or scrolling on your mobile phone, or working at the computer while you're eating? Perhaps you're wondering what there is to eat in the house and worrying about that. How much thought and effort do we actually put into making the meal itself? And how much time do we spend contemplating and preparing where it has come from? So in the practice of mindful eating, we bring a quality of awareness to the simple act of eating. I'm sure during that short reflection, you'll probably have noticed that often when we eat, our mind is elsewhere. And it may be a screen or a TV or a computer, or it may be we're with a friend, but also it may be that we're lost in thinking about worrying about the future, what's happening next, or perhaps something that's happened in the past that's causing us upset. And when our body and mind are tense in thinking, we can literally swallow that tension down as we eat. So in this practice, I'd like to invite you to, much as we might in meditation, try not to get lost in the story of the mind, not to get distracted with too many thoughts. If they come in, that's fine. We're just going to let them go, notice them, acknowledge them. They'll be there later. We're only here for about 10 minutes or so today. So, just park them till later. And if you can, bring your attention fully onto the tangerine meditation. Okay. So in this practice, we bring our attention and concentration fully onto the experience of eating and drinking so that we can really enjoy the colors, the tastes, the textures, and also perhaps widen our perspective on the meal that we're about to eat. So I'd like to introduce the bell to begin the meditation. So the invitation is to take up your item. In my case, it is a tangerine, a small orange, and place it in front of your eyes, in front of your face, and have a look at it. Really look at it. Noticing the color of the skin, and perhaps noticing how many shades of color there are. Some light areas, some darker areas. If it's a piece of fruit, is there a bit of a stem attached? Is there even maybe a stalk? Depending on what our item is, spend time really looking at the object, noticing. And perhaps taking a moment while we're doing this to reflect on how this tangerine came to be in my hands today, or whatever your item is. It wasn't grown here. Was it grown in Spain or somewhere further afield? Somewhere this was in a crop of trees or bushes, and they were being cultivated with love and care and tenderness by perhaps a family of farmers or wider industry. Somebody organized the growing, the nurturing, and the picking of this piece of fruit. And then there was a group of people who would have been involved in the packing, the distribution. Perhaps this fruit has traveled across continents or countries, bringing with it a little taste of its homeland for us to enjoy. Perhaps taking a moment to smell the fruit. What sensations are we able to notice from the simple act of smell? And just to mention that as we go through this meditation, you might find that you experience different reactions and feelings, which could be pleasant or they could be unpleasant. So as always, excuse me, with any meditation, bringing an act of curiosity and playfulness to the experience and just being open to how it is for us today. So I invite you to gently start to peel your item and perhaps reflecting on its journey as you do so. Noticing any white areas of pith, noticing the texture of the skin and the texture of the fruit. Listening for the sound the peel makes as you unpeel the fruit. Perhaps again, just inviting the sense of smell to notice if there's any more intensity there now. And then gently peeling open the fruit, perhaps releasing one segment, listening to the sound of the peeling. How does it sound when you release one segment from the tangerine? What's happening in the mouth? Is the saliva starting to tingle with anticipation? Perhaps the glands are starting to work. Perhaps there's a sense of excitement, or maybe there's a sense of irritation. Maybe there's a sense of impatience at wanting to actually eat this piece of fruit. So just noticing how our body and mind react to this practice can be really helpful as well as we come to connect with ourselves deeper. So inviting you now to take a very small bite of the end of this fruit, just on the tip of the tongue. Maybe even taste it first. How does it taste? How does it feel? Was it smooth? Is it rough? And then very slowly taking a small bite. Feeling the flesh, the juices, allowing the taste to really reach each area of the mouth. Noticing if the juice was trying to run down the chin like it was with me, or whether it's made it down the back of the throat, and how it feels. How does it taste and feel when it goes down the back of the throat? What happens when we bite down? What do you notice about your experience? Placing the whole piece in if you haven't already, and just allowing the full flood of flavor to envelop the mouth, the taste buds. And what do you notice? Is there a desire for more? Do you want to reach for the next segment? Do you want to keep eating? Or are you able to stay with this experience of slowly enjoying the act of eating? And is there any aftertaste? Is there anything that is left once you've swallowed this one piece? How does the mouth feel? How do you feel right now? So that's really what I wanted to share. But before I ring the bell and the light, please feel free to finish eating your fruit at this point. I just want to read the 5 contemplations on mindful eating by Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Zen master, Zen Buddhist master for people who may not know him. This food is the gift of the whole universe, the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard, loving work. May we eat with mindfulness and gratitude so as to be worthy to receive this food. May we recognize and transform unwholesome mental formations or thoughts, especially our greed, and learn to eat with moderation. May we keep our compassion alive by eating in such a way that reduces the suffering of living beings, preserves our planet, and stops contributing to climate change. We accept the food that we may nurture our brothers and sisters, build our community, and nourish the idea of serving all living beings. So that was a very short eating meditation, and the invitation, if you would like to, is to prepare and enjoy your lunch today in silence, really noticing and paying attention to what you're doing, what you're putting on the plate, how it looks. Does it give you pleasure to arrange it in a certain way? Really allowing time to enjoy the meal without distraction, giving yourself a chance to just really rest and enjoy the act of eating. And whether that's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, however long you have available, I hope you'll really enjoy the experience. And please do feedback either on Messenger or in the Facebook group, and let me know how you got on. Thanks for joining. The next session is tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, where we'll have a guided seated meditation of body and breath. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.